Hi, this is Eric Marshall, and I'll be with you for the next 90 minutes in a very special country world premiere of a brand new album, brought to you by Cepastat. Sore throat relief starts in seconds with Cepastat. Our show celebrates an album made by a performer who's hosted a network TV series, topped both the pop and country charts, and collected 15 gold records. Glen Campbell's here to talk with me, and for the very first time on radio, we'll hear songs from his new album, Unconditional Love. Later on, we'll be joined by his record producer, Jimmy Bowen. Our first song, Light of a Clear Blue Morning. Dolly Parton wrote it when she was leaving Porter Wagoner to set out on her own. Now, for her, it was kind of an apprehensive time when she wrote the lyrics of that song. Not that way for you, though.
Well, it fit my life a whole lot, you know. I can see the light of a clear blue morning, you know. But everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. I like that attitude.
How long did you think about recording it before you actually got to the session?
That was last May, a year ago. I recorded it in September.
Let's give it a listen. Here's our star, Glen Campbell, Light of a Clear Blue Morning on Country World Premiere. Now, Glenn, this show certainly takes a look at the new album release, but we'll also be taking a look back at some of the other songs that have been in your career as well. And one of my favorites was from your last album, a song called Gone, Gone, Gone.
Yeah.
It just sounded like you guys had a party going when you made that one.
It really was a lot of fun. And to have guys like, Reggie Young and Pat Flynn do a guitar solo, and I did the last guitar solo. And every time we'd run it down, I'd listen to see what they had played and see if I could do something any different. And then I finally come up with the lick that I used on the Orange Blossom Special for the first part of it. And then in the middle, a lick that Barney Castle showed me when I was doing studio work. It'd go, you know. And then I just took it from there, you know.
Build a lick. Licks are us.
Right.
We'll find them. Your new album has older songs on it that have been redone. They were successful for other artists. Now, was this a deliberate effort, or were these just the best ones you could find?
It seems to me like the program machine in Nashville now are turning out not real deep songs at all. Are songs with a real good positive message. I think Alan Jackson's Here in the Real World is one of the better songs to come down the pike in a long time. You know, it speaks of something that's real. But most of them are honky-tonk songs or dancing songs. And House of Love, I've always loved that song. I used to sing that in the clubs. And it was a very positive statement because it was my life, you know. All of my life, my heart's been walked on. Women said they loved me and my, how they talked on, you know, telling me lies and filling my eyes with tears that I couldn't control. Then you came along, bless your heart, and showed me the right way. And that's really one of the stories of my life. And I enjoy singing those things, man. It makes me happy now because I am happy now.
And we'll hear House Full of Love a little later, but let's get good and happy and feeling good with Gone, Gone, Gone.
Well, she said,
welcome back to Country World Premiere. I'm Eric Marshall. We're premiering Glen Campbell's new Capitol album, Unconditional Love. Now, Glen, you and John Hartford really helped one another's careers along over the years. Of course, Jimmy Webb wrote a whole bunch of your hits. And you also recorded an album of Hank Williams songs back in '73. Yet there doesn't seem to be any set formula or consistent pattern where your music comes from. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, they're called producers. It's called record company executives. Sing this song, Glenn. This is good for you. We can make a hit out of this. Sure you can, yeah. Like, oh, darling, I'm so lonely and you left me today. You know, rather than saying, it's knowing that your door's always open and your path is free to walk. They say, radio won't play that nowadays. I said, well, why don't somebody try it? All they got is the one choice to play. Well, Bowen could tell you more about that than I could.
Well, we're going to put his feet to the fire a little bit later in the program. Is there a formula for types and tempos of songs when you're putting together an album? I mean, are we looking at 4 parts up-tempo, 3 parts ballad, 1 part bluegrass? Is it that mechanically structured, or do the songs dictate what's on the albums?
It really is that mechanically structured nowadays, I think. The record companies and the producers will have a meeting. Personally, I think the artists should have a meeting and dictate what's being recorded. You know, because I think the public would get a lot better product on the market to buy. The guys that's doing their own things, writing their own stuff that are good, are the guys that's making it now and hitting with it. Mm-hmm. You know, the Clint Blacks, Alan Jacksons. You know, they're writing their own things and they're putting their heart into it.
Songs like We Will from your new album, and maybe some that you did from albums years gone by that folks might be a bit more familiar with, like By the Time I Get to Phoenix, Wichita Lineman, the slow, down-tempo, sweet songs.
When I was putting those albums together, I never took into consideration if you could dance to it, listen to it. I did them because it came from my heart. It came from Glen Campbell. And that's why I got the 6 or 7 platinum albums from. They want to hear the artist do it from the heart. They don't want to hear him take something conjured up, I don't think.
Let's hear one now from Glen Campbell's heart. Here's We Will on Country World Premiere. Growing up in Arkansas and getting professionally involved in music at the age of 14, obviously, the early attraction in music for Glen Campbell was, and here's a bulletin for you, music is more fun than farming.
You ain't kidding.
But was there some point in that progression you realized you were really onto something special?
I realized that I was given a special talent at an early age, by comparing. I was just using my own ears and listening to what was going on around me. So I moved to California in 1960.
Now, you spent a lot of years working on some very large record projects, but it was about 1968 when things really started to change. Wasn't that the beginning of the television show days? The Glen Campbell Good Time Hour, which, say what you will, for my money, I think it was a big success.
Oh, it was a very big
huge
success.
Big rush at that time for you? All of a sudden, you throwing your chest out and walking around with a new conviction?
No, I was walking around like, my goodness gracious, Lord, you never told me it'd be like this.
We promised country classics, and we have one now for you with an interesting twist. Once a Day was a song for Connie Smith.
Right.
That probably did as much for her as maybe Gentle on My Mind did for you.
Bill Anderson loved it, too.
How did you come about finding this one for this?
That's a song I used to sing in the joints. Once a day, all day long. And we tried to cut it as much like the old record as we could.
Anybody that records a song like The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, which you, of course, did with Steve Wariner, has to have a real special place in their heart for Mom. How did Mom react?
Oh, she loved it.
What's the one single thing of all that you remember about Mom? What do you respect most from her?
Her hard work, the way she raised us kids. You know better than to do that now, every time you turned around. I'm one of 12 children. I don't see how she did it without electricity, She had to wash everything out by hand, the diapers, hang them on the line. Now that I look back at it, and I got kids of my own, I said, boy, howdy, your mother is really a very, very special person. And she took us to church every Sunday. That was the first thing that I learned was the church singing. She's just a darling, and I love her to death. She's 85 years old now and still strong on a bear, so I guess hard work doesn't hurt you that much.
Along with Steve Wariner, here's Glen Campbell and The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Welcome back to Country World Premiere. I'm Eric Marshall. Our guest is Glen Campbell. We're talking about the new album, Unconditional Love. As we talked about earlier, it's easy to understand that you have a special place in your heart for the ballads, but you also seem to do pretty well on up-tempo songs, instrumentals, or really whatever you want to play. What made you pick Right Down to the Memories?
I liked the song. I really did. Right down to the memories, and I need you right now in my arms. I think it's just a great song.
We've pulled out a Glen Campbell classic, Southern Nights. Several Nashville producers who heard the original demo commented that you did it decidedly different. Do you have any special process for deciding what approach a particular song will take?
I was at Jimmy Webb's house, and I said, Jimmy, he'd been on a dry spell not writing. I said, has anybody else written a song that you like? He played me Alan Toussaint's record of Southern Nights, and he'd sing it to a Leslie speaker, and the lick on it was on a saxophone through a Leslie organ spear. And I took it and listened to it, and I was like the optimistic kid that wanted the pony, with all this horse manure in here, there must be a pony somewhere. But I thought if Jimmy Webb liked it, it had to be a good song. And when I wrote the lyrics out and read the lyrics, I said, yeah.
Traveling all over the world now, is there something special about a Southern night? Or is there a special part of the world, either our country or someplace else, that speaks to your heart?
There's a South in every country you go to. I say, this is for Southern England, and they go, yeah, this is for Southern Ireland or Southern Scotland. It's just a good feel. I think that's probably as good a feeling record as I've ever recorded.
Here's the Glen Campbell interpretation of Southern Nights on Country World Premiere. The title song of your last album, Walking in the Sun. has one of the strongest hook lines I've ever heard. Even a blind man knows when he's walking in the sun.
That's a true story. Jeff Berry, who wrote that song a long time ago for his dad was blind. And his dad said, son, let's walk on the other side of the street because the sun's shining over there. And Jeff, he thought that, well, yeah, he happened to look and notice it, but his dad could feel it. And that's where he got the idea to write the song from. But it's also another one of those positive, I've been down long enough to know when things are going right. I've been losing long enough to know when I finally have won. Because even a blind man can tell when he's walking in the sun. It's just a good song.
Back with Glen Campbell talking about and premiering new cuts from his new album, Unconditional Love. And it's not hard to assign the thought pattern in Somebody's Doing Me Right to your particular lifestyle and your situation. Song about somebody that sowed up some wild oats and then settled down with the right lady. Personal attachment to this particular song?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, I like Paul Overstreet's writing, and I didn't know Fred. Fred Noblock wrote it with him. I love what it says. It's a good feeling song, too.
She helps you sing straight sometimes, too.
Right.
Somebody's Doing Me Right on Country World Premiere. And now on Country World Premiere, another cut from the brand new Glen Campbell album, Unconditional Love. The song is Next to You. Can you set that one up for us?
Oh, yeah. That's a great song. Next to you, nobody else even comes close, and I hope I'll always be there next to you. I just like what it says.
Here's Next to You on Country World Premiere. Let's go back to the Walkin' in the Sun album and tell me about On a Good Night.
I love On a Good Night. I think it's just fabulous. I love what the song says, because let's face it, it happens to everybody in America. I love doing it on stage. That's one of the most requested songs out of the album.
A guy named John Hartford brought the song into your career that made things reach a whole new dimension. 1967, that song, Gentle on My Mind. Is it still your signature song?
Yeah, I think so. People recognize that because I used it as a theme on the Good Time Hour.
You'd been on Capitol for 5 albums, 5 years at that time, and as you said, theme for the.
Well, I'd been with 5 different producers doing 5 different types of music. I was on the road with the Beach Boys and doing their sessions all along in that period. I was playing bass, singing the high part. It was a thrill. It really was, doing it. It's a little old lady from Pasadena. It's a little old lady. I raised my voice a tone and a half, but. I was driving to the studio one day and I heard John Hartford's record of Gentle on My Mind. The words just grabbed me, because it just flat grabbed me. And I got John's record of it, and lo and behold, when we started the thing a year later, here's Hartford there. And I said, boy, give me some more songs, and all I heard was the old washing machine and a few other things. I said, John, there's got to be another one in there somewhere.
But here's the irony of it. That song, while not a chart hit, didn't get above the top 20.
That's right.
It's now the 3rd most played song in the history of recorded music.
I know, isn't that something? That's amazing. It goes to show you, do a good song and it will last. Dance styles change every 2 years. A good song doesn't change.
Let's go back to that song that's been recorded over 600 times. Let's play it again, Glenn. Right after this, we'll be back, joined by Jimmy Bowen, one of the most renowned hit-making producers in the history of the record industry. And we'll find out what he has to say about old lightning fingers here. Glen Campbell, next on Country World Premiere.
FM 100 WCMS. Hey, make sure you get your 1991 country calendar. Stop by the Goodie Wagon. It's tomorrow from 12 until 1 at Langley Federal Credit Union on Mercury Boulevard in Hampton near the Coliseum. Start the new year right with a station with the best country. This is WCMS. WCMS FM 100 Norfolk. Now let's get back to Country World Premiere with Glen Campbell and joined by great producer Jimmy Bowen on CMS.
Welcome Welcome back to Country World Premiere. I'm Eric Marshall with Glen Campbell, and we're joined this time by Glen's record producer, Jimmy Bowen. And if you don't know him personally, you've certainly heard the results of some of his work. He's racked up more than 60 #1 records, many gold and platinum albums along the way as well, with everyone from Hank Williams Jr. to Reba McEntire to George Strait. It might be the most important question, has to come up sooner or later, so let's settle it now. Which one of you guys is the better golfer?
Me.
Yeah, Jimmy. Yeah. Jimmy says, I don't think I'm half as good as I really am.
And he's modest about it.
And he's modest about it.
Absolutely. Glenn gives me several shots, and I beat him.
Every time.
No, I don't give him. He's not getting another shot from Glen Campbell. I don't care how much he says his back hurts.
Man, we played, and we live in California. We were always partners. And we're the two of the luckiest people in the world.
Definitely.
You know, I mean, we bank it off of trees in the hole and hit it out of bounds. It hits a truck, comes back in, gets up on the green.
Yeah, well,
Together, we're awfully lucky. Also, we need to point out, too, that on this album that we had another producer involved. This album had 3 producers, myself and Glenn and Jerry Crutchfield. Jerry's with us at Capitol Nashville. And we brought him into this project to help us in the hunt for song.
The next song we're going to be playing from the new Glen Campbell album is something of a country classic without ever having been a hit. It was supposed to be the A-side of a 1966 David Houston single, but wound up being the B-side of Almost Persuaded, and that pretty well took care of things for Living in a House Full of Love. Now, how did Glen Campbell figure in this latter-day incarnation of the song?
Jimmy liked House of Love, and I don't think there's not a human being out there listening to the radio stations that wouldn't want to live in a house of love. I think it's a great, good, positive statement.
It's been recorded many times by people who weren't living in houses with love and didn't work. But I felt for Glenn it was a perfect combination.
Next up is a Willie Nelson classic that never hit, at least not to the extent of Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain or one of those other standards. But this one must be a special song for you.
Well, I try to get a feel going for Healing Hands of Time. And it was just a statement I wanted to say, you know. But Willie had done, I just did it totally different than the way Willie did it, you know. Willie kind of did the song this way, you know. They're working while I'm missing you. Those healing hands of time. In fact, I was so influenced by the way Willie sang it, you know, where he throws the words in. It's called phrasing, I guess. And Willie phrases like Willie. Nobody else does.
Nobody
that.
phrases like Willie does.
Willie gets the far ahead and the far behind sometimes. You never think it's going to meet in the middle, but it does, you know.
All Willie cares about is that he and the band end similar.
Right. Start on the same band, end on the same bandstand. That's Willie's theory. But anyway, I just wanted to do it a good feel because I just think the song is a magnificent song.
Well, let's find out about that now. The sound of Glen Campbell with the Healing Hands of Time on Country World Premiere. Both of you guys have been making records for a long time. Is it getting harder or easier to find the new sounds and the fresh ideas?
It's about the same. Technology makes some things sound better, but it's not easier to achieve it. It takes longer. The key points are the same. You must have the song. Doesn't matter whether it's 1960 or 1990. You must have the right marriage of song and artist. And the music has to fit the times. But that's not any more difficult now than it was 60s or 70s or 80s because you're supposed to be attuned to the times.
Glen Campbell and Jimmy Bowen will be right back on Country World Premiere, and we'll hear Glen's current single from the new album Unconditional Love right after this. We're back with Glen Campbell and his producer Jimmy Bowen. The title of your new album Unconditional Love will be the first single. Why this song?
Well, when we finish a project, we get a compact disc and we make some real good cassettes. And we share those cassettes with all our key people at the company. Glenn shares it with the people in his support group. And then we flip a coin. It's real scientific. And with this album, it was a problem. We had about a 4.5-hour meeting at my house trying to determine which first.
Just how much does Glen Campbell have to say about which song he'd like to see as a single?
Well, you know, I can give my opinion. I told Jimmy, I said, it doesn't make me any difference. Unconditional Love, I was very pleased that they did that because it's such a good song, and it's something that my folks taught me. It's something that they laid down for me. It's something I got to lay down for my kids now. It's real hard to grow up, Eric, and say, okay, I am now the head of the household, and now I've got to do it for my kids. And I remember when I was a kid, my dad was doing it. So I was singing the song, and a little tear came out of my eye, and I said, yes, that is a must-recorded song for Glen Campbell.
All daddies kind of feel that way, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Here's Unconditional Love. Tell us about the role of the producer in making an album.
Pretty simple. The producer's job is to do whatever's necessary to help the artist do their music. The minute you overstep those bounds, you dilute the artist's music, you mix it with your own, and it gets, to me, it's a negative. So the key is to do as little as possible and only what's necessary.
But if you have the faith in this man as the producer of, or co-producer of your production, then you're going to take very, very much to heart what he suggests and recommends.
Oh yes. Well, I've known Jimmy so long. I know how Jimmy thinks. I know Jimmy does his job. He's got to make the promotion men sell what he produces. And I know if Jimmy's heart ain't in it, it ain't going to get. It ain't. The force will not definitely be behind it. You know?
Isn't that kind of a different attitude compared to some producers you've had to work with before, Glenn?
Oh, it is. That's why I was happy to get back with Jimmy. Literally, when I said a while ago, when I first was with Capitol, I went through 5 different producers probably in 5 years. They weren't producers; they were just guys that happened to be at the record company at the time.
In 1974, there was a song called "Bonaparte's Retreat." Who had the idea for the bagpipes?
Oh, that was me. I was learning to play bagpipes.
I've never had an idea for a bagpipe.
That was a smash in Australia, James. You didn't know that, did you?
It was also one of your biggest hits right here in the States. Here it is, bagpipes and all, Bonaparte's Retreat.
FM 100 WCMS. Stick around as we conclude our show tonight with Glen Campbell, Country World Premiere.
We're down to the wire on Country World Premiere, listening to the brand new Glen Campbell Capitol album, Unconditional Love, in your stores tomorrow. I know you insist upon, or at least strongly suggest, that artists co-produce their albums with you. Is that a statement on how much input you need them to have in the production?
Well, there are very few artists I work with who don't care enough to participate in that process. I think it's illogical for me to hunt songs for Glen Campbell to sing. I think it's logical for him to hunt songs for him to sing and then come and play those songs for me and let me use my experience as his advisor, his objective voice, so I can assist an artist like Glen in saying, I think this song is good for you because. I think this song is not good for you right now because. And if you present it that way, I never tell the artist you can or can't do anything. I wouldn't want that kind of a relationship. If I can't convince an artist that they're doing the wrong thing, then they may not be.
Our last song is not the last song on the album, but the title is certainly appropriate as a closer, as we could hope for, I guess. I'm Gone This Time.
I like it. This is one of those songs that hit my funny bone, you know that. No more word about me, no more where you been, no more friend, no more checking in,
I'm out of here now.
No more TV dinners, no more foolish fights, no more telling me to get out of your sight, baby, I'm gone.
Don't you think it's a shame this man never learned how to play guitar?
I know. I used to book him for a session to do the harmony and the acoustic guitar and the electric guitars. It was like the old joke about they had that riot in Fort Worth. They sent one Texas Ranger. And the guy said, why just one? He said, well, there's only one riot. That's why I used to book Glen. And the artist would say, well, where's the other people? I said, oh, he does it all. He does it all.
You seem to be quite excited about this album.
This is the best Glen Campbell album in quite a while. Give it a try.
Here's Glen Campbell and I'm Gone This Time. The album is called Unconditional Love. It's on the Capitol record label. The artist is Glen Campbell. You'll find it in your stores tomorrow. I'll bet you'd just hate it if everybody ran out and bought one this week.
No, I'd love it.
I bet you would. Glen Campbell, Jimmy Bowen, thank you very much for joining us on Country World Premiere.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And that's Country World Premiere. Country World Premiere was brought to you by Cepastat. Sore throat relief starts in seconds with Cepastat.
With the best country music, this is WCMS, Williamsburg.